Good afternoon, I'm Colette Linden.
And I'm Dani Dupuis. Welcome to the special report.
Today is Giving Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo. What else do we have today?
Cystic fibrosis.
Cystic fibrosis.
Lots going on
we've got
today.
Mental Health Awareness Week. We have a lot of stuff. The Premier is going to approach the podium. He's 1 minute away. While we're waiting for him, why don't we get an update on weather?
Yeah, absolutely. So for all you weather people who tuned in this morning and I said there's a mix of flurries coming up on Thursday, well, that's completely changed. There is no longer a mix of flurries. So today it's currently 10 degrees and it is going to be going down to a low of -2. So there is going to be a little bit of a chillier evening for the next couple of days. And on Wednesday, we're looking at a high of 10 with a low of -2 in the evening. And Thursday, like I said, it's not a mix of flurries anymore. It's actually going to be kind of light and cloudy. You got a high of 3 and a low of -2. So be prepared for that, everyone. Just a little bit cooler in the evenings.
And Chris and I were discussing.
Did you change the weather when we threatened to fire you this morning when you said flurries?
Pretty much. I definitely changed that quickly.
So yeah, so it's not really changed. It's just like
I told Mother Nature, please no snow.
Please.
Thank you, Dani.
Yeah.
Can you do the same for Mother's Day?
Yeah, 'cause it's
I
supposed to be a
feel
big
like
snowstorm.
I deserve, and every mother out there deserves,
Like a
beautiful
nice,
day.
clear day.
Yeah, I don't want to spend it inside. Come on, we gotta
Hopefully
choose
it's
that.
supposed to be super, super nice.
Well,
on
you were
Sunday.
saying, Chris, it's supposed to be a huge winter, like a huge snowstorm. It's
There's
not.
like into the U.S. and everything. Yeah, it's supposed to be a massive storm.
Well, how about we go over to the Premier and hear what he has to say for us today?
Some have had deeper losses. A father, a mother, a grandparent, a friend. That kind of grief and stress, it has an impact, not only on our physical health, but on our mental health too. At a time when we all must practice physical distancing, it can be isolating, not seeing family or friends for weeks. It can be isolating, not having anyone call or check in. It can seem like you're going through the emotions, trying to get through each day, when each day looks the same. It creates stress, anxiety, and depression. So if you're listening to this, my message to you is simple. You're not alone. We will support you. We will get through this together. It's more important than ever to reach out, to check on our seniors, and to make sure we're taking care of each other. During this time of physical distancing, let's continue to stay in touch. That's how we'll beat this virus. And my friends, the good news is help is here. To support those struggling with mental health during these difficult times, our government has invested $12 million into virtual and online mental health supports. And this week, we're rolling out expanded access to those critical supports at no cost to patients. These mental health supports can be accessed safely from home. Our government has invested $12 million into virtual and online mental health supports. And this week, we're rolling out expanded access to those critical supports at no cost to patients. These mental health supports can be accessed safely from home. You can take an assessment and receive support from a therapist. And we know many of our frontline heroes need support too. They're the ones in the trenches. They're the ones working 12-hour shifts. Their jobs can be stressful and demanding, but every day they get up and they go to work. They help people and save lives. They're absolute heroes. They're superheroes, if you ask me. And I can't thank them enough for everything they do, day in and day out. They take care of us, and we're going to make sure we take care of them too. These new virtual mental health supports will also be available to our frontline workers whenever they need it. We've been working closely with our hospitals and Ontario Health to deliver these supports, including online peer support groups and access to mental health workers. Too. These new virtual mental health supports will also be available to our frontline workers whenever they need it. We've been working closely with our hospitals and Ontario Health to deliver these supports, including online peer support groups and access to mental health workers. We'll make sure everyone has the support they need to stay well in mind and body, because mental health is health. Thank you, stay well, and God bless the people of Ontario. Now I'll hand it over to Minister Tabolo.
Thank you, Premier. The unfortunate reality is that there is a tendency during these highly disruptive and stressful times for people to not always take the time to look after themselves or to check in with a friend, a colleague, or a loved one to see how they are really feeling. En ces temps très perturbateurs et stressants, les gens ont tendance à ne pas toujours prendre soin d'eux-mêmes ou à consulter un ami ou un être cher pour voir comment ils se sentent. That's why I'm proud to be here today to announce that in partnership with Mind Beacon and Morneau Chapelle, our government is significantly increasing access to internet-based cognitive behavioral therapy programs for those experiencing heightened anxiety and depression during the COVID-19 pandemic, including our frontline healthcare workers. C'est pourquoi je suis fier d'annoncer que notre gouvernement augmente considérablement l'accès au programme ICBT pour ceux qui souffrent d'une anxiété et une dépression accrue pendant la pandémie de COVID-19. In addition, we are also proud to announce that we have established a mental health and addictions COVID-19 response table chaired by the Ontario Mental Health and Addictions Centre of Excellence within Ontario Health. Members of this response table represent organizations across the mental health and addiction sector and are laser focused on ensuring that available supports are maintained during the COVID-19 pandemic. Drawing from their expertise within the sector, members will share best practices and connect with other COVID-19 tables to ensure any issues impacting our mental health and addiction system are quickly resolved. Our government's overriding priority is to ensure all Ontarians have access to the high-quality services and supports they expect and supported in their journey towards mental wellness. Thank you, merci, and I now turn it over to Minister Elliott to say a few words.
Thank you and good afternoon. Since the start of the COVID-19 outbreak, our government has been driven by an unyielding commitment to protect the health and well-being of Ontarians. And as we all know, there is no health without mental health. As a result of the COVID-19 outbreak and what it has demanded from everyday Ontarians, more people are experiencing stress, anxiety, and other mental health issues. To every Ontarian who has helped to flatten the curve and stop the spread of COVID-19, thank you. I know the sacrifice it has taken, including missing time with friends and loved ones. There is no better time than during Mental Health Week to ensure that we are supporting those who have so bravely supported Ontario, including everyone doing their part by staying at home, and of course, our heroic frontline healthcare workers. We are supporting Ontarians by significantly increasing access to internet-based cognitive behavioral therapy and by developing a suite of services for frontline healthcare workers, including self-referral and intake services, as well as weekly online peer discussion groups and access to confidential support from clinicians. I encourage everyone who may be struggling to visit ontario.ca/coronavirus to learn more about the supports that are available. These are difficult times, no question, but together we will get through them. As we do, we are ensuring Ontarians have access to the supports they need when and where they need them, which right now means in the safety of their own homes. Thank you.
Well, before I take any questions, I want to address one more thing. As you all know, Last week, we tragically lost members of our Canadian Armed Forces in a helicopter crash. Tomorrow, we will pay tribute to those brave men and women in virtual Highway of Heroes ceremony starting in Trenton. Because of COVID-19, we're encouraging everyone to watch from their homes to pay their respects instead of gathering along the highway. This ceremony will start at 2:30 p.m. and will be live streamed on all Canadian Forces social media channels. Again, my sincere condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones of these aviators and sailors. We will never forget them. God bless them.
We'll go to the phone line for questions. Just a reminder, one question, one follow-up. First question.
Your first question comes from Travis Darraj.
Welcome back. We are going to take a quick break for a commercial and come back with today's news. Welcome back. We appreciate the Premier's update on mental health, and that was great. So it ties into what we have to say right now, and that's it's Giving Tuesday. And with that, I interviewed Amanda Lambert. She is the CEO of a support group here in town who is doing a run on Saturday, May the 9th. Typically, Amanda does this through regular channels, and they run 5K, but this time we're running on the spot. We're doing our travel, we're doing it, we're uploading our pictures, our results. But what I wanted to point out that we didn't point out, I didn't know that to interview you today, Freshie is handing out free food, and Pita Pit's handing out free beverages. So all you do is bring in your registration receipt into those two locations during the time. I believe it's between 9 and 5 on Saturday. You get your 5K run done. There's no specific time. So we appreciate the help from Freshie and from Pita Pit on this great initiative. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And the Cystic Fibrosis Canada, that is the fundraiser that we have chosen to begin our campaign with to help local charities, communities, our local charities within the community raise some funds. So just wanted to announce today, so Cystic Fibrosis Canada, cysticfibrosis.ca, visit that website. And today, until midnight, because it is Giving Tuesday, any amount that you donate will be matched by a very generous donor. So whoever that generous donor is, from myself personally, thank you. I think that's an awesome initiative and just fantastic news that I wanted to share. And you have something about Arch Flowers that you'd like to share.
Arch, they host a fundraiser as well during this time, and they sell flower bouquets and baskets. With maybe, I want to say, within a few days, they completely sold out. They won't be delivering them until May 30th, but they just wanted to say thank you so much for all the work, and all the money raised is going towards their palliative care. And we also wanted to announce that it's National Hospice Palliative Care Week on top of it. So great job for all the work that everyone at Arch is doing right now.
Yeah, Arch is, we probably all have some type of connection with Arch, and what an awesome place that is, right? They just really know how to make you feel at home.
And even with their volunteers not really being able to go into the building right now, those volunteers are helping out with yard work, picking up leaves, just like doing odds and little things just to still be a part of the Arch hospice community. So
that's great. Well, I know Chris has a lot of updates for us with regards to schools across our country. So Chris, what do you got for us?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll be talking about Quebec schools in just a second. We do have some good news here in Algoma. We've had 13 positive cases of COVID-19, and we now have 13 recoveries, which means we have no positive cases of COVID-19 in Algoma District that we know of, and actually the amount of tests we're waiting for is way down. We're only waiting for about 156 tests. Just on Friday, we were waiting for almost 400. So the government's really getting those tests through like Doug Ford wanted, and it's just working out really well right now because we haven't been down in the 150s range for waiting for tests for 4 or 5 weeks now. It's always been over 200, 300, 400 range, and now we're getting down to 156, which is fantastic, and it's fantastic we don't have any cases right now. Now, across Ontario, there was 387 new cases yesterday and 61 deaths. So the last 2 days, our cases have been under 400. We had 370 yesterday, 387 today. Unfortunately, we have a higher death rate right now, but that is because that's people who tested positive 2-3 weeks ago who are now at the ending stages where they have unfortunately passed away. And 75% of the people that do pass away are from long-term care homes. And the outbreaks at long-term care homes is now up to 218, up from just 212 yesterday. So I want to talk a little bit about Quebec schools opening up because I think it's relevant also to us here in Ontario and whether or not our schools will open up. Quebec has decided as of next Monday to open all the schools except for inside Montreal. They're going to wait another week to open the schools in Montreal. The reason being is there's a big outbreak in Montreal, so they don't want to open the schools there yet. Okay, so this is their plan. They're going to give each kid an assigned space. I guess maybe they're going to put tape on the ground and say you got to stay inside that taped area, and they're only going to have 15 kids per class. The average class size in Quebec is actually about 26, 27 students. So they're basically cutting class sizes in half. They're going to physically distance recess. I have no clue how they plan on doing that. Anyone who's watched a 5-year-old soccer game where they are following the ball around like a swarm of bees, I don't know how you're going to socially distance any of those kids under about the age of 8. I can't imagine being a kindergarten teacher and telling the kid, you got to stay in your little box there, Johnny. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work and how successful that's actually going to work. So they're going to have the 15 students max in the class because they don't have enough classrooms. They're turning libraries, science rooms, computer labs, and hallways into classrooms as well, which is only going to make teaching even harder. I mean, just imagine having a class in a hallway while the janitorial staff is also trying to keep the hallways and the bathrooms and the classrooms clean more than they normally do. And they're going to reduce the amount of kids on a school bus. Now, we've seen this here locally with our local bus system where we're only allowing 10 to 12 people on a bus at a time. They're going to do the same thing with their school buses in Quebec. They're going to put 12 kids on a bus. Here's the issue. They normally put 48. So they need 4 times the buses that they have now to take kids to and from school. I can't imagine where they're going to find that many certified bus drivers this quickly. Nor do they have the buses to do it that quickly. So they're going to have to do some sort of staggered bus system to and from the school as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in Quebec because I think the rest of Canada can probably learn from that. And I think we'll probably learn that we'll just keep our schools closed and start in September. Back to the desk.
I was going to say that because I thought, well, I don't know. We're going to learn how not to do things, I think. But we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see. That's a pessimistic way of looking. Maybe, I don't know. To me, I
think it's realistic, not pessimistic.
Yeah, I don't see how children are going to be able to keep to themselves. However, we did come across a video of a little guy who decided to keep to himself. And I don't know if there was quarantine issues and he was just sick and tired of being at home. But
maybe he wanted to go to school.
I think maybe he could be a bus driver. I don't know. But anyways, it happened in Utah. A Utah Highway Patrol person saw this car here on your left-hand side, which actually is a Dodge Journey, swerving. He was really concerned. He actually did not think this driver was impaired. He thought they needed some medical attention due to the aggressive nature of the driving and the swerving in and out. He put his lights on, his top lights on or his headlights on. The driver did not pull over. However, after some time now, you see that the driver did quite gracefully pull over to the side of the road and park. And when Trooper Rick Morgan approached the vehicle, he did not find someone who needed medical attention. He found a 5-year-old boy who had, I don't know how he was able, now his face is blocked out, that's why it looks a little.
Well, because he's a young offender.
He is definitely a young offender.
Young offender.
And so, yeah, that's what happens when I get you. I can't believe that story. Having children myself, I would lose my mind.
Where's the mom? Like, would she be like?
Well, not only that, yeah, that's a good point. Or the dad.
Yeah.
Let's not just blame the mom.
No.
Okay, no, I'm just kidding. That's a protective mom. Yeah, but how does a 5-year-old even reach the pedals as well as maneuver the car? And let's be honest, he pulled that over pretty well. Like, I'm not trying to say, yeah, way to go. I'm kind of dumbfounded by that whole thing.
It could have been worse than what it was, obviously.
Oh my God! Yeah,
so
you can't even. It could have been decided. The thing is, to highlight, that was on an interstate. That was not a city road or a town road or a rural road. That was an interstate where, what are we at, 90 miles per hour? On an interstate? That's...
No, that 55 miles.
55,
90 miles would be about 150 kilometers.
90 kilometers, 55 miles per hour. But who knows if he was going that, but he looked like he was keeping up
Maybe
pretty
he's
well.
trying out for NASCAR next week since it is coming back on the 17th.
Well, apparently all he needs to do is learn how to turn left, right, Chris? And that
turn left. I mean, he's got the straight
he
thing
pulled over
going.
left, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I didn't bring it up to highlight his driving ability. I just pulled it up. It blew my mind when I saw it today. Anyways, moving on to the Murdered Hornet. Have we heard about the Murdered Hornet? This arrival of this so-called Asian Murdered Hornet. It's an invasive species to North America, clearly. That is not the Murdered Hornet. Come on, we know that's the Murdered Hornet. This supersized predator received his nickname as the giant insects can slaughter entire colonies of honeybees, but they're also linked to a few dozen human deaths each year. Wow. This Asian giant hornet has a massive toxic stinger, an armored body, and an affinity for biting the heads off bees. However, it also packs a pretty decent sting when you go near it. But it's not necessarily, unless if you go to his nest and you're bugging his nest.
They're big things too, aren't they?
They are massive. Very big.
Aren't they like 3 or 4 inches long?
They are. Saw one image. It was a just under 3 inches. So yeah, it's pretty big. Anyways, they come from Japan and China. However, they found some of them in wildlife officials are now investigating because they found some of them in BC and Washington State. Wow. So they have entered North America. So that is something to look out for, and I don't think we'll miss them if they're flying at us either.
No kidding. Right on in there.
So Trudeau made an announcement today with regards to $250 million for an agricultural fund to help with all the issues around the packaging for money and beef. Actually, Chris, did you wanted to touch on that Alberta? Sorry to throw this to you, but about the Alberta plant, the meat plant?
Yeah, there's 2 Alberta plants right now. One is Cargill, the other is JBS, and they both had outbreaks. They both had 1 death so far, but a good percentage of the people who worked in that plant actually tested positive, which is why it got shut down in the first place. And just the Cargill plant alone is responsible for 36% of all the beef processed in Canada. And JBS also has more problems because they have outbreaks at their American plants as well. So in Texas in particular, they are closing their one in Texas, JBS is, and that's actually where we get a lot of our Texas beef here in Canada. So there is actually, we're having big problems, particularly with meat packaging in not only Canada, but also in the States. They have outbreaks all over the place. And Texas actually decided to try and reopen last week, and they've seen a massive surge in cases, which I will deal with tomorrow morning, because it's something to learn from if you try and open too quickly. And they have outbreaks, massive outbreaks in prisons, nursing homes, detention centers for immigrants who are coming across the border illegally, and they are just in a very bad place in Texas. They've chose to ignore science. They're not social distancing. They're not promoting masks or anything. So
that's craziness. Thanks for that, Chris. I just wanted to tie that into the money that the government was funding. But just so you know, $50 million of that money is going to help the food that spoils. They're going to send that to the food bank before it spoils. Oh, so there's that, and a credit program for the dairy industry is also included in that money. And I think $77 million to go to keep workers safe who are working in these plants. Wow. But we've got to fit. We're going to switch gears a little bit. Talk about somebody who's pretty happy today.
Yeah, and it is regards with some money that came their way. As I'm not sure if many of you know out there, but the Sioux Area Hospital, part of their foundation, they do offer a 50-50 draw once a month. This month, was unprecedented for how much money, huge what the pot was. So Adam Carvonen, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, he was the lucky winner of the 50-50 draw and won over $72,000.
That's crazy.
Like, it blows my mind. And with an interview that was given, Adam received the ticket from his girlfriend. It was bought as a gift, you know, and then April 30th rolls around and his name gets pulled and he $72,000.
He better be buying her some nice bling bling.
He did say,
buying that ticket for him.
Really interesting that he did say, my girlfriend's children are going to go to college or university one day, so this money is going to help make less of a burden. We are also had a grade 8 trip canceled, so we're going to make up when it's safe and we'll take a nice family vacation.
Wow.
We also want to share that 100% of the ticket sales were made online, obviously with COVID-19, but I can't believe that. Every single time I look at the 50-50 jackpot, it's been going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And 72.
Well, congratulations to that family. And again,
what a
it is
great
Mother's
night.
Day, so maybe jewelry, buddy, maybe jewelry. Now we do want to get to these.
You could probably get a pretty good car deal right now if you walked in with cash.
That is true. That is very true. But you need to make an appointment if you want to go to the dealerships. We're going to come back after our hashtag In This Together video to talk about these.
Josh Smithers,
Awesome.
Old 55 Company, got a lot of information there.
But before we get to that, we are going to throw to Amanda Lambert video with regards to her charity run she's holding this Saturday, May the 9th. I'm here today with Amanda Lambert. She is the CEO of Strong Minds, who's also a registered health and exercise practitioner. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. Thanks for asking. You are you're doing quite the thing. I know this is the third year that you've got a run for change with regards to mental health, and I'm happy to have you here during Mental Health Week. So tell me a little bit about your run. We'll start with that, and then we'll start with how it's going to change this year due to the pandemic.
Well, thank you for having me today. This is the third annual Run for Change. So it's a movement to raise awareness on mental health and addictions and to really stop the stigma that's associated with it. For the past 3 years, it's always been the first week of May. And last year I got invited to join the Algoma Family Service Committee team because they're very involved with Children's Mental Health Week.
Right.
So it was really nice to be included in that. And because this run does land on Children's Mental Health Week, this is an annual event in May. And this year it's from May 4th to May 10th. It's just a very important week where we can promote the awareness of the presence of mental health challenges throughout child and adulthood. And there's
Well, that was Amanda Lambert. We are going to have that full video for you tonight at the 5 o'clock newscast. She is an awesome member of this community, and I'm happy that I got the opportunity to interview her. And another segment that we will be releasing on Thursday is just with regards to her mental wellness platforms that she's showing and helping people. And she helps children at 15 years age all the way up to adults or seniors to 80. So we want to thank you for what you're doing for this community, especially me, and I'm happy that I was honored to interview her today.
And thanking people in the community right now. We do want to give a very big thank you to Josh Smithers over at Old 55 Tattoo Company, who's 3D printing ear guards, 3D printing these.
You get these packages.
Yeah, he's sending these free packages. You can just go to the Facebook page and message him. He's also accepting donations if you'd like to, but these free COVID care package, he calls it. He's including gloves into them. He's including an ear guard, and this is what I want everyone to know.
I'm going to use these for my apartment. I love this idea.
Clip that they've created, so you don't have to touch doors, you don't have to touch pin pads of debit machines. It clips on, there's a little key hook it clips onto, so you can just start doing this. Also included in this care packet, they 3D printed a framework for the N95 masks, so if you already have it, you can just like kind of take it off and wash and do it. On top of that too, he's included instructions of mask instructions and sanitation, as well as how to properly put on gloves.
Awesome.
Like, it's just completely phenomenal.
And then the
He's
kids
already donated 300 of the ear guards to Sioux Area Hospital, and he's included in these care packages this little Lysol pitcher that people can color, send in to him, and he's going to showcase it on the Facebook page.
Awesome.
And we are going to have an interview coming up with him, and it's just honestly
That's
such
awesome.
a humble individual, and it's just beautiful what he's doing.
And that's all 55. So remember that. We are done for today. We will see you tomorrow. Join Chris at 7 and me at 5 for the news.